right? They absolutely do not care what you're doing. They do not care about your patient. And when they talk about your patients, they talk about them in dollars and cents, not in outcomes and healing. So I think that, again, if we take that whole philosophy and apply it to psychedelic assisted therapy, everyone should be very concerned about the fact that MAPS has a for-profit and a not-for-profit. And why a for-profit? And what are the backroom deals that are being made with the pharmaceutical industry that are going to get in the way of psilocybin and MDA and ultimately ketamine and ibogaine and ayahuasca and all of the other things that will ultimately end up synthesizing in the psychedelic community? How is that going to get in the way of equality for the vulnerable and marginalized community? The answer is it's already started. So again, that's why I want to have that conversation. And I'm telling you that I won't accept. I'm not like accept the things you cannot change, the courage to change the things you can. I am 100% going to change the things that I do not accept, right? And so that's the position that we're taking. And we are in a position where we do have capital to be able to say those wild things and be undiplomatic, but we want people like the people that are on this call to support that effort and lend their voice, because I think that we can collectively do something that's radically different than what we think is the right thing, because what is the right thing and who the big players are, they do not have your best interest in mind. I promise you that.
Of course, nobody is arguing with you about that. They only care about themselves. But I think your point is excellent. And unfortunately, I have tried to drive this concept with insurance companies myself on the phone, letting them know that they can extract a lot more money from a patient that's alive and thriving versus somebody who commits suicide because they didn't get mental health treatment. However, the problem that I see is that they are too short-sighted. They do not care about 10 years from now. They just care about the next quarter or the next year. And this is a huge thing that's getting in the way because they don't have that perspective into the future. So I think you're 100% right. I 100% support this Robin Hood thing because I think that is the answer. I just have found it very difficult to try to kind of get this into people's heads and thinking about it in this way, that if we have a healthier population, that population will be coming to the emergency room less. So you'll be spending less resources there, and you'll have payers for much longer, and people who are still working, who are producing taxes, and the tax base will be higher. But again, I find it difficult to kind of drive that concept with those payers. And I've had those heated conversations on the phone with them, and it just falls on deaf ears. They don't care. Because
yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. Yeah, you're right.
We're talking with also people that aren't actually clinicians. There's the administrator, and we're trying to convince them, if we can get this person's depression under control, they're not going to end up in the hospital like they're going in once a month.
But this doesn't affect their direct paycheck, so they don't give a shit if it affected their direct paycheck, but I think it should. If there's more readmissions at your hospital, then the administrators get dinged on their paycheck. But, we protect those guys. We protect the guys at the top, and everything else falls on us and on the taxpayers eventually because,
Yeah, and there's some digital solutions that we're deploying to, again, it's about disintermediation. So something that we do in the U.S. as it relates to delivering care is always, the strategy is always, when can we disintermediate, right? So we can't disintermediate Medicaid. We can't disintermediate